On September 15, 1992, inside the shadowy halls of Balmoral Castle in Scotland, 8-year-old Harry still held on to the hope that his father cared about him. At that innocent age, he believed families never kept secrets, but what Harry didn't realize was that everything he trusted was about to disappear. In just one evening, a few words from his father Charles would shatter the illusions of his childhood. Margaret Foster, a royal nanny, accidentally overheard a conversation she was never meant to hear, a secret that would haunt her for decades. That evening, the mood at dinner was tense, every word weighed down by things left unsaid. The royal family sat together, but Harry stayed quiet, his eyes often glancing at Charles. Charles saved his warmest smiles for William, never for Harry, never, not once. Later, after the meal, Diana knelt by Harry's bedside, surrounding him with gentle care. "Mommy," he whispered, "why does Papa not like me?" Diana's composure crumbled, her eyes filling with tears. "Your father does love you, darling." But Harry saw through it. "No, he does not." There were no comforting words left, because Harry spoke the truth. Charles had always treated his sons differently. "Try to sleep," Diana murmured as she stepped out. In the corridors beyond, Charles poured himself another drink. The night closed in, heavy with secrets and sorrow. Margaret Foster had spent 3 years caring for Harry, nurturing him as though he were her own son. She had seen, time and again, Charles's cold indifference toward the boy, and had often comforted Diana after those quiet crying spells outside Harry's room. On this particular night, at 10 o'clock, Margaret was walking through the dim hallway near the library when she heard voices drifting through the door. Charles was inside, his voice thick with drink and emotion as he spoke sharply into the phone. Margaret knew she should keep moving, but the sharp edge in his tone made her stop. "I know exactly what people think," Charles said bitterly into the receiver. "I hear the whispers about Harry, about who his real father might be." Margaret's heart pounded. Was she really hearing this? James Bloody Hewitt, that's all anyone ever wants to mention. The red hair, the features, they act like I'm oblivious, like I can't see it for myself. Charles paused, letting out a harsh, empty laugh that echoed in the silence. "But really, does it make any difference? Does it matter whether he is truly my son? Diana made her choices, I made mine. And now, I'm the one left, staring at that boy, wondering if he is even a Windsor." Margaret covered her mouth in shock. The walls of Balmoral seemed to close in around her. What she was hearing felt impossible. Surely, Margaret thought, this couldn't be how Charles truly felt. Yet his next words cut even deeper. "Everyone expects me to show the same affection to him as I do to William, to put on a facade as if he really is my child, as though nothing is wrong. But every time I look at that boy, all I can see is her betrayal." At that moment, footsteps echoed down the hallway. Margaret, her heart pounding, slipped quickly back into the sanctuary of the nursery. In the gentle glow next to Harry's bed, she watched him sleep peaceful and unaware. He didn't sense the doubts swirling just above him, or know that his own father questioned whether he was truly a Windsor. He was oblivious to the silent suspicion hanging over the palace halls. Margaret sank into her chair, seized by a single thought. How could she ever protect Harry from a truth so cruel? Just 48 hours later, that fragile calm was shattered. The date was September 17th, 1992. In the middle of the night, Harry woke up, thirsty and disoriented. The castle was silent and dark as he quietly made his way down the stairs toward the kitchen. As he passed the library door, he heard his father's voice, Charles, still awake, nursing a drink. Harry knew he should just keep going, get some water, and head back to bed. But then he heard his own name. "Harry is the problem," Charles said, his voice echoing down the empty hallway. Harry froze, barely daring to breathe. "William is unmistakably mine. He has my features, my manner. He is Windsor through and through." "But Harry," another voice interrupted, unmistakable and stern. "It was Prince Philip, his grandfather. Then have the test done," Philip insisted. "End the speculation for good." Charles replied bitterly. "And if the test confirms what they all suspect, what if Diana's affair left us with a child who is not my own? What then? Do we tell the world that the heir to the throne has no rightful claim?" The words struck Harry like a cold current. His mind raced, struggling to absorb the conversation unfolding before him. Philip spoke again, his tone chillingly detached. "The boy will find out one day. Sooner is better than living a lie." "He is only 8 years old," Charles replied. His voice wasn't warm, just tired. Then Charles spoke words that would echo in Harry's mind forever. "He is not my son." Harry stood in the darkness, taking in a truth spoken not to him but about him, a truth that hurt even more for that reason. "You are not really my son." Those words, never meant for Harry's ears, became a haunting refrain for years. He stood quietly in the shadowed hallway, a small boy in pajamas, listening as his father disowned him with chilling certainty. He neither cried nor made a sound. Instead, he simply turned on his heel, drifted back to his room, and slipped under his covers. Wrapped in darkness, he clung to the echoes of that one phrase, "Not my son." Over and over, those words haunted him like an inescapable refrain. Morning came, but Harry hadn't moved. Margaret found him just as she had left him, cocooned tightly in his blanket fortress, closed off from the world. She approached gently, her voice soft. "Harry, sweetheart, time to come down for breakfast." His reply was barely a whisper. "I'm not hungry," she pleaded. "You need to eat a little something." Quiet desperation seeped into his next words. "I don't want to see him." A heavy sadness washed over Margaret. "See who, Harry?" she asked gently. "Papa," came Harry's muffled reply, buried under the covers. "I heard him last night, talking to grandfather. He said I'm not really his son." Margaret's stomach turned. The truth, hidden for so long, had finally reached the one it would hurt most. She sat beside him, searching for the right words. Harry clung to hope. "Margaret, please tell me it isn't true." But as she looked into his trusting eyes, Margaret couldn't bring herself to lie. How could she deny what Harry had already heard? She spoke softly, choosing her words with care. "People have said terrible things, hurtful rumors about your mother and another man. But Harry, no matter what anyone says, it does not change who you are." Tears streaked Harry's face as he slid the covers down, searching for answers. "But what if it's true? What if I'm not a Windsor? What if Papa isn't really my father?" he asked, his voice trembling. Margaret steadied herself and spoke gently. "Your mother will always be your mother, Harry. William is still your brother. You are still Harry, still good, still loved." But Harry just shook his head. "He's never loved me, not once. Now I understand why." In that moment, everything changed for Harry. Childhood ended quietly, in the hush of that hallway. The next day, Diana learned the truth. Margaret had no choice but to tell her everything. As Diana listened, her face lost all color. "He heard Charles say that," she whispered. "Yes, ma'am," Margaret replied. Diana closed her eyes, her anguish clear in every line of her face. "This is my fault, the rumors about James Hewitt. Now Harry is the one suffering because of it." "Ma'am," Margaret said gently, "that story isn't even true. The timelines don't match." But it hardly mattered. Charles believed the ugly rumor just the same. And now, that shadow had fallen over Harry too. Diana entered his room and found him distant, lost in thought. "Is Papa really my papa?" he asked quietly. Diana wrapped him tightly in her arms. "Yes, you are his son," she whispered. "Of course you are. Then why did he say I'm not his son?" Harry's voice trembled. Diana tried to comfort him. "Your father is in pain right now, Harry. But I promise you, you are his boy, and I love you enough for both of us." Still, love couldn't fill the space where a father's reassurance should have been. The days that followed stretched out like a punishment. Charles kept his distance, avoiding Harry whenever he could. At meals, he stayed silent, speaking only when absolutely necessary. Night after night, Harry was tormented by nightmares. He'd wake up screaming, with Diana rushing into his room to gather him in her arms. Sobbing into her shoulder, he pleaded, terrified. "He's going to send me away. He's going to tell everyone I'm not really his, and they'll make me leave." "No one is going to send you anywhere," Diana promised, holding him as tightly as she could. But deep down, she knew she couldn't promise that the feeling of safety would ever truly return. The next morning, Margaret summoned her courage and went to find Charles. "Your Royal Highness," she said softly, "Harry heard you. He heard you say to Prince Philip that he's not your son." Charles's head snapped up, his eyes wide. "He did what?" Margaret stood her ground. "He was out in the corridor. He heard everything. Now he believes truly that you doubt he's your son." Charles began pacing, panic rising inside him. "I was drunk. I never meant you said those words." And he heard them. Margaret answered quietly, "Speak to him. Tell him the truth." But Charles couldn't bring himself to face Harry. He avoided his son completely, letting silence answer the questions Harry no longer dared to ask. Time drifted by, weeks blending into months. Harry stopped asking if Charles was really his father. He stopped searching for affection in his father's eyes. Instead, he built invisible walls, defenses around a heart much too young for such burdens. He was just 8 years old, already armoring himself against disappointment. Diana did her best to fill the emptiness Charles had left behind. She showered Harry with attention, pouring affection into every moment. She whisked him away for special one-on-one adventures, doing everything a mother could to mend the wound Charles had caused. But even her strongest love couldn't fill what was missing. No mother's embrace could ever replace a father's acceptance. No comforting words could erase what Harry had heard. William noticed the change. He watched his little brother retreat, becoming quieter and more withdrawn. One day he asked Diana, "Why is Harry so quiet these days?" She answered softly, "He's working through something." William's brow creased with concern. "Can I help?" he asked. Diana placed a gentle hand on William's shoulder. "Just keep being his brother. That's exactly what he needs." William did his best. He sat beside Harry, invited him to play, and even offered his favorite toys as a gesture of peace. But the spark that once made Harry playful and bold was gone. Now he moved through life differently, cautious, distant, shut off from those around him. By his 9th birthday, Harry already knew the safety of expecting nothing, especially from his father. When his birthday came, Charles stayed away. He didn't come to the celebration. Instead, a package arrived, a present and a card, signed with cold detachment. "Happy birthday, Harry. Best wishes, Father." No warmth, no affection, just emptiness, dressed up as civility. Still, Diana threw a party at Kensington Palace. She was determined to fill the room with laughter, inviting school friends, bringing out classic party games, serving a cake layered with frosting, and stacking piles of brightly wrapped gifts. Everyone tried their best to make Harry feel special, everyone but one person. All afternoon, Harry's gaze kept flicking hopefully toward the door, again and again, hoping Charles would walk in and show, just by being there, that he cared. But the door stayed stubbornly closed. When it was time to blow out his candles, Harry made a wish he kept locked away. Margaret watched quietly from across the room, noticing the shimmer of tears in his eyes. She understood. More than anything, Harry longed for his father's love. He wanted Charles to take back those harsh words, to hear someone finally tell him he belonged. That evening, Diana found Harry sitting on his bed, tears streaming down his face. In a whisper, he said, "He didn't come. He doesn't want me." Diana held him close and softly replied, "Your father was called away on royal duties. It wasn't because of you." But the truth lingered, unspoken. Charles had made a choice, and he had left Harry behind, and as the years passed, that truth remained. By the time Harry turned 15, Diana was gone, and William was off at boarding school. That left Harry alone, surrounded by questions and persistent rumors. One morning at Highgrove, Harry walked into Charles's study with purpose. Without any small talk, he got straight to the point. "I want a paternity test." There were no greetings, just a need for answers. Charles looked up, taken aback. "Harry, this is not..." But Harry cut him off. "I need to know if you are truly my father. I'm 15. I deserve to know." Charles slowly set down his pen. "Harry, you are my son." But Harry stood his ground. "Then prove it. One test, a clear answer. That's all I'm asking." Silence filled the room as father and son faced each other across the desk, separated by years and by longing. Deep down, Charles knew he should agree. He knew he should give Harry the certainty he craved, the reassurance he'd needed ever since he was just 8 years old. This could have ended the whispers, dissolved the pain, and silenced the lingering doubts. But the palace flatly refused. The risk was too great. What if the results changed everything? What if the world discovered that Harry might not be Charles's biological son? The scandal would be unbearable. "A test is unnecessary," Charles announced finally, his voice cold. "You are a Windsor. You are in the line of succession. That is what matters." But for the boy who spent his life questioning his place, it was never enough. Harry's voice trembled, touched by old wounds. "It's not all that matters. I need the truth. All my life, I've been haunted by what you said that night. If I'm not really your son..." Charles cut him off, his tone edged with desperation. "What night?" "September 15th, 1992. Balmoral. I heard you tell Grandpa I wasn't your son. I was 8. I remember everything." The confession hung heavy in the air. Harry had carried that memory in silence for years. Charles stammered, "Harry, I was drunk. I never meant." But Harry pressed on. "Then take the test. Prove I belong. Give me one real reason to believe you." But Charles couldn't do it. The palace had drawn a line, and Charles stood firmly behind it, choosing royal obligation over the pain of his son. His answer was unwavering. No. Harry locked eyes with his father for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, he quietly left the study and never brought up the question again. The refusal spoke volumes. For Harry, it was answer enough. After 40 years in royal service, Margaret Foster retired in 2010. Before leaving palace life behind, she spoke with a small documentary crew. Her identity remained a secret, and nothing she said was on the record. "I was there that night," Margaret recalled, her voice heavy with old sorrow. "I saw 8-year-old Harry hear his father deny him. I watched that child's heart break right in front of me. From that moment on, I saw him struggle trying to prove he deserved to be there. And through it all, Prince Charles did nothing to heal the wound. He kept his distance, making Harry feel like an outsider in his own home, a constant reminder of what Charles believed he had lost." The interviewer asked gently, "Did Margaret believe Charles truly loved Harry?" Margaret fell silent, searching through old memories for the answer. Finally she spoke. "I think Charles loved the idea of Harry," she said. "He liked having a spare, and the completeness that came with 2 sons. But to truly love the real boy, the redhead who reminded him of Diana's betrayal, real or not, no, I don't believe he ever truly loved that child. It was always obvious Charles never showed Harry the same warmth or affection he gave William, and Harry felt that difference even when he was just 8 years old. He carried that knowledge quietly, feeling its weight as he grew older." The documentary with Margaret's story never aired. Palace lawyers stepped in to stop the broadcast. Yet the footage still exists, kept away, unseen but impossible to ignore. When Harry left royal life in 2020, some people finally understood. It's nearly impossible to stay loyal to a family when you've always doubted your place, when you've been made to feel like a stranger in your own home. You can't expect to belong somewhere that never offered you belonging in the first place. Harry never spoke publicly about that night. He never mentioned what he heard whispered in the hallway when he was just 8 years old, but William knew. Years later, before her tragic death, Diana confided in him. She explained why Harry carried so much anger, why his defenses were so high, and why he could be so hard to reach. "Your father broke something inside him," Diana told William. "It was a wound that might never fully heal." Deep down, William understood. He realized why Harry had to leave to find peace. For Harry, staying with a family that had always doubted whether he truly belonged became unthinkable. On the night of September 15, 1992, Harry was just 8 years old, a child still believing in the certainty of a father's love, still trusting that families never betray. That night, standing quietly in a dim corridor at Balmoral Castle, Harry overheard a conversation that would change his life forever. Charles wasn't speaking to Harry directly, he was speaking about him, and somehow that made the hurt even sharper. In that single moment, young Harry discovered a truth much harder than the absence of love, the pain of love that comes with conditions. To matter in this family, he realized, you had to check a box, fit a certain narrative, and prove your identity. To be truly considered a son, the bloodline had to be verified without a doubt. Charles never took back those words. He never told Harry he was wrong. That need for certainty was never fulfilled. From that moment on, Harry began searching for validation to show the world, and maybe even himself, that he was worthy of his place, that he deserved love just as he was. At just 8 years old, Harry overheard a drunken remark from his father that was never meant for his ears, a denial of his place in the family. Some wounds to the heart never fully heal. Words can echo long after they're spoken. Sometimes just one sentence can mark the end of a childhood. For Harry, that moment came in the dim, quiet halls of a palace the night his father denied him, never knowing Harry was there to hear it.